Oh, do you know this name? This team? Okay. Hello and welcome to Game 2 of Day 2 of the Australian Mixed Ultimate Championships here in Hobart. We have Monstars versus KAF, and Monstars have just pulled first point of the game. So, got Rob Swan and Lockie White. Lockie White back to Swan. Swan to White. White gets out to Holly Reeve. Holly Reeve pops in. Monstars throwing a junk. Holly Reeve cuts across. That looks like Karamar. It is Karamar. Back to White. White holds. Goes back to Rob Swan. Rob Swan looks at Ma. Decides not. This junk holding. And Swan goes through despite the bid in the cup. Through to Holly Reeve. Holly Reeve to White. White to Swan. Swan to Ma. Nice grab by Karamar. Ma. Rob Swan. Swan to White. White wants to get it over to the big side, but he's gone to Helen Epstein instead, who hits Swan, who again goes through. This time there's a hand on it, but Karamar still manages to pick it up. And the shot into the end zone has a little bit of air, but manages to get reeled in by Matt Finn. And that is the first score of the game. Nice work from Rob Swan. He carved the first one through. That one, it was a little more luck. 2 bids going through the cup, one of which definitely got a hand on it. Monstars out of Queensland. Enjoyed a solid campaign prior to ultimately going down last year, I'm pretty sure. So, ready for the second point of the game. Monstars will be receiving this time. And KAF going down hard, charging down on the pull. John McNaughton starts it. Monstars possibly with the smallest team jersey numbers at the tournament. But Dan Gladish has it. Gladish back to J-Mac, chops J-Mac. McNaughton, but there's a D from Reece Stewart there. Nice cheeky D, stuck an arm in, and Reece Stewart's off to the races, but no one going to throw it to him. Reece Stewart gets the under now, working hard early on. KAF bouncing it around, a lot of quick movement, and there's a pick call in the stack. Nice little break. Cam Bennett. Reece, high release flick, makes it work to Holly Reeve. And another pick. Tap back in now, Reeve. Again with the high release break backhand, and KAF get the first break. So here's the D from Reece Stewart, sticking the hand out. So we're going to be joined on the mic by KP. Hello, KP. I'll put her under the gun. She hasn't even got the cans on yet.
G'day.
Hello, KP. How are you?
Very well.
That's good. What brings you up to or down to Tasmania?
I'm game advising mostly.
Right. No game advisors this game, though.
There are.
Oh, no, there are. Sorry.
Angus on the far sideline and Ruben Berg on the sideline.
Right.
On the near front of the screen.
Very good. Have you watched either of these teams in your advising thus far?
I was advising Monstars game in the previous.
How are they looking?
Time slot. Pretty strong. They won their previous game 15-7.
So Copeland hits Davis. Both teams having a look at zone. Copeland looks around, breaks, and then receives it straight back. Thinking it through. Both teams sending poppers in, which is good. Now starting to use the width of the field. Davis in the middle, but throws up a pie, it gets taken down. Alan Epstein with the D. Sorry, it's not suit. Travel called. It's not a stoppage, so team will want to play on. Rob Swan trying to get free, but he's clogging the rest of the stack. Back, KAF now, having to really think this through. Sudis throws something, shows a little bit of air to Swan, who keeps jumping in front of the stack. It's working, but he's cutting the rest off. And Karamar now gets free, and then Karamar sends a laser backhand, but didn't come out right. And a quick play on the Monstars, but Rob Swan managed to get back and get the D. It's a turn from Timocles, I think that was. Nice and early. He was onto it. So Rob Swan brings it in, gets it, punches back into the middle with Karamar. And now to Ben Sudis, but there's a pick, and that one probably didn't affect. Timocles happy to leave it there. Davis arguing that it should go back. Not sure it affected. What do you reckon, KP?
I didn't have a great view from here.
We are battling about 15 sideline players to try and get a view here, but Sudis sticks it nice and early. Becca Ziegman just can't get to it.
I don't think there's enough wind to be playing a position just at this stage of the game.
Yep. I would agree, KP.
Who knows?
Big D. Oh, up high, can't complete it. Nice early backhand look.
Too high.
Just over the
long
top.
shot.
And now we're seeing a long game play out. Rob Swan again, sitting back deep. He's been across both of the shots to date, and he's going to look to play quick, and his team's going to have to help him out. He's got Sudis coming back, so he gets a gainer to Sudis. That was good because the rest of the stack was nowhere. It was Sudis and Ma coming, and then it was daylight between the rest of the players. So Sudis looked, team weren't entirely sure if it was up, but they're going to call it up now. Bell Lamb with it. Sorry, it was Bell Lamb before. Now Karo Ma. Gets it back. Now, I thought it was half down. Helen Epstein now. Helen Epstein, lovely break flick, but it's just out of bounds, just too far. It did almost look like it took a bounce, so let's take another look. That is down. I think there was a call on the throw, though, because Ben Sudis had stopped. That one definitely hit the deck. So, junky look, and another deep one, and Rob Swan's having the time of his life. Zev Permack with the put. Not sure if I can mount a case for defence on Zev's behalf, because that was pretty ordinary.
Yeah.
Especially in the context of the game where there have been 2 or 3 long shots, and number 42, Swan, has just been sitting at the back, eating it all up.
The wind is picking up. It was quite still this morning. I think they're expecting 20 km/h winds today.
Yep. So Rob takes his time, much longer than a lot of 20 seconds to bring it back in, but he does. It's Sao Ernie. Now to Karo Ma. Karo Ma goes to hit Rob up the line, but Davis had poached in, so well done by Ma to realise, then hits Epstein. Epstein back to Swan, but throws behind him, and Davis picks it up. So a chance for a run and gun. The wind really starting to pick up now. Permack with the disc, wants to hold one, he's pointing, there'd be a high count now, he puts the flick into the middle of the stack, but can't come up. Bounces out of the hands. KP, as you said, that wind's starting to be a bit of a factor.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's going to hold. It seems to bluster in and out. But it's definitely getting stronger.
Swan holds it into Karamar. Karamar gives the point. This is where I want the cutters to go, she says. Epstein back to Ma. Ma dominating at the moment. Rob Swan getting himself in the way, gets out of it. Epstein now hits Swan. Swan looking, doesn't want it. Resets to Sudis. Sudis around flick to Swan. Swan giving a nod. And a pick's called.
Count coming in on 5.
Swan, nice break inside backhand. Ma, another little break to Sudis. Sudis holds. Sudis hits Epstein. 2 Epsteins at the moment. I'll do my best to make sure I delineate between the 2. That was Helen Epstein. Now to Sudis. Sudis goes through a little pushy. Can't get anything away. He's got Timocles marking. Gets the late one. Ma did excellently to get a hand on that disc. Now hits Helen Epstein. Epstein back to Ma. Ma very casually sticks the juke out, grabs it, goes for the give-go, goes to get it back. Ma now has 2 to contend with. She's going to get up. Karo Ma, take a bow. That's a point. I'll tell you what, if you can make a point, an entire point, a highlight, you give that one to Karo Ma. Absolutely smashed it from end to end, around the disc, down the field. Well done. So you'll see her first grab here, was out of position, had no right to grab it, did. Then it charged up the line, was totally open, yet the pie was thrown. And then, again, probably out of position, I reckon, as well, KP. Managed to grab it.
Excellently caught. Contested grab.
Oh,
And all the way through the point, she was throwing breaks up into the wind.
Yep.
From that far sideline. And just her work rate was fantastic. Every second, just about.
Hey, she was going all point.
She's a tough one to mark. She's very fast.
Not slow. Who's your pick for the game, KP? With 3-0, KAF have got the jump. Do you think they're going to hold?
It's hard to know. I think they have some key players that they're using. If Monsters use their brains as well as just shooting for position, I think they'll. It should be a tighter contest, I would expect, for this game. I think as the wind gets stronger, that'll be one of the key separators for these two teams.
So coming in from the sideline, J-Mac rocking the chops. Oof, look at that. J-Mac goes the big backhand. Fakes it, holsters it, gets it back, moves it around. Really nice piercing throw. Smash through the cup. They've got good flow now. They've managed to get it out of that corner.
Looks like it might be a four-man.
Tristan Green. Over to Brown. Brown back to Green. J-Mac comes in, pops, not enough pressure put on it, so he gets it. Then J-Mac pops one over the top. Away over to the other side. Well done.
Plenty of time to receive it.
Murray Eng had that grab. John McNaughton wants the hammer again. Goes the hammer this time to the other side, and it is caught. Nice grab.
With 4 near the disc, there's plenty of space downfield.
Unfortunately, given Monstars are rocking a size 7 font on their shirts, I can't tell who that is, but we'll get a name for a pump up. Salisbury was. Joe Salisbury with the grab. J-Mac going upstairs a couple of times that point. It made it work.
He's definitely got lovely throws.
That was his first hammer. That was on a dime. That was a perfect one. The second one probably made Joe Salisbury work a little harder. Had to readjust, coming in with a bit of heat, especially as KP mentioned, in the wind. It's going to be tough, but it puts them on the board. Monstars, their first goal. It's 1-3.
An upwinder should give them some confidence.
An upwinder would be a big help. Will be a big help. Beautiful conditions down here in Hobart, barring a little bit of wind that's going to kick up. Hey guys, number 27. All right, Reece Stewart coming in, picking it up, taps it in, looks for the break flick, instead throws the open flick. It's M. Hodgson. Ed Hodgson then unleashes a pie onto field 17. That's out of here. Grabbed on the sideline, nice grab. So J-Mac's going to be bringing it in. Reese marking him. Mammoth teammates. J-Mac again going upstairs, but this time incomplete. It's going to be hard in this wind. It's only going to get harder. Hodgson picks us up. Gets it over to Stewart. Stewart on the outside. Goes to Reeve. Holly Reeve upstairs. Nice high release. Hodgson could just run onto it. He wants to look at the overhead. Decides not to. Back to it's, Epstein. Katie Epstein there. On to Sudis. Katie Epstein. Back to Reese. Middle of the field. Zone's got a good set though. Kat Gilbert. Reese. Gilbert. Then Hodgson. Fakes the overhead, wants the break backhand, can't get it. Now goes through the cup. Nicely done. Sudis then grabs it, gets the flick out the back. Oh, nice leap. But Reeve can't get it. Holly Reeve, it goes over her head.
I wonder where the Monsters were playing a clam there. It was quite loose.
Making work hard, yeah.
Enough to put pressure on, that's for sure.
Made them think through it. They didn't like it. So both these teams actually have a very large female roster. KAF themselves have probably about 10 to 12 women, which is good to see. There's been a turn. KAF, M. Hodgson with it. Gets to Katie Epstein. And Hodgson working hard on the outside to try and get it back.
Holly Reeve.
Reeve upstairs. Out of bounds. Return the favour to Sutas. I think it was Sutas to Reeve the first time around that went out of bounds on that side, and now we've seen it in the inverse. J-Mac, no mark on him, so he wants to send it, he won't. Oh, Willie. Oh, holds it. Holds it, does not do anything by way of a pivot until now, and then gets hand blocked. That's what happens if you don't pivot, John. Reese sells some candy, gets it through. I think that's Sudis with the goal. J-Mac sat in a forehand, not even a forehand stance, he just stood there till about a 6 or 7 count. Reese went, yeah, you're going to have to go back to the dump here, mate, I know it. The teammates from Mammoth would have known each other. As soon as you step back into that backhand, Reese went, you're cooked. Bang. Nice grab on the sideline. I think that was M. Hodgins. And then a great hand block. Boosh. Got him. And then finishes it off. Sudis with the goal. Johnny with the rice mail going, yep. I got done there. Johnny, one of the better players on the Australian scene. He'll bounce back from that. Sure, he won't let that go to his head. All right, 4-1 to KAF. They've jumped him. Monstars would have been one of the teams you'd be looking at coming into the tournament as getting to the pointy end. KP, fair to say?
Yep, I'd agree.
Have you got much mail on KAF? You haven't done a KAF match, have you?
No, I haven't.
Do you know where their women are from? What, are they rogue players in the open season?
From KAF?
Yeah. Gilbert, Epstein's. Obviously we know Karen Ma, Victorian. Plays with Bauhaus, maybe?
Plays with Ellipsis.
Ellipsis, sorry, yeah. Gee
No,
whiz.
I don't recognise these
The
other
Ellipsis
ladies.
coaching staff would be pretty thrilled based on what they've seen out of Karen Ma today.
Absolutely.
Nice pull, nice outside in, never looking out. Why more people don't pull the outside in, I'll not know. Timocles will grab it. Timocles walking it up. Looks like another junk set. What is this? You thinking clam again, or is it coming into a... it doesn't look a bit clammy.
It's almost like a 1-3.
Yeah.
But the three's very wide.
They're not really
flat.
taking cutters as they're coming in.
No.
Davis keeps it alive. It's to Chris Tan, I think it is. Jane Moe. Tam Davis. Now they've cut through. Chris Tan. Chris Tan back to Timocles. On the sideline, and the zone gets to set now, but Timocles not phased. He throws around the mark to Tam Davis. Gives up a little bit more ground to Timocles, but they get to move it now to the high side. It's probably where they want it, but they have given up about 10 metres. Tam Davis, Timocles, they're using the same few now, not much coming by way of pop. No poppers coming through, so they're going to have to think their way through it. Permac with the disc. There is nothing going on by way of a pop. They get one now in Tan. Tan to Timocles. Timocles unlucky on that one. I don't know if there was a hand on it, but it just absolutely died halfway through the throw. And KAF are going to get a shot at putting this to 5-1. Which again wouldn't have been, I don't think many people would have tipped that. So M. Hodgson with the disc. Looks for the outside break, can't get it. Looks for the scuba, can't get it. Hits Lockie White. Lockie White gets the give go, but drops it. Had Tam wearing him in the corner. There was no foul, no contact. It was definitely close. Typically winds up big backhand, elects not to throw. It goes to Tam Davis. Tam Davis takes it out to Permac. So, Monstars can't buy a popper at the moment, but they managed to get one through now with Chris Tan getting it through to Halatis, sorry. Permac puts it at Timocles' boots. Timocles gets a hand to it, but can't really do much more than that. Monstars making life hard. This one, players not accounting for the wind. Put it around his shins. So M. Hodgson with the disc. Strange junk look. Changing it up. Oh, and again a throw not accounted for in wind.
Moving the huck straight away.
And then the huck. It's up. Permac under it. But well done from M. Hodgson. Strong. Did well and then called the timeout. So, what's the one thing you reckon both teams are going to mention at this timeout?
Who knows? Could be popping, for sure. Could be the wind.
Could be the wind. Both teams not accounting for the wind. Either putting it, no spin on it, especially downwind, or throwing pies. Not doing any favours for their receivers. But KAF with an opportunity now with the disc at 4-1.
And the wind at their backs.
Correct, and it would be a slight downwind shot. Yeah, it would be a downwind shot. So, some gentle words with J-Mac and who is that? Rob Swan. Both teams been playing a bit of zone, so it's entirely possible it's around a double team. It's the opinion from the Peanut Gallery here. Johnny, is that about double team? So the brief and friendly chat between both teams was just to make sure that they're using their bodies to defend, not necessarily their arms. There's a view from a couple of players that maybe the arms are getting stuck out a little bit. Nothing malicious, but just don't do it. Just don't do it, Rob. Just keep the arms to yourself. Yeah. All right, M. Hodgson will be picking it up. He's pretty much at the brick mark, just in the middle third of the field. And pretty deep stack set from KAF. Pretty deep, especially in this wind. And there's been an early go from a player in the deep stack, but M. Hodgson, not a confident throw. And Monstars now have a chance to hold their D. Timocles gets it up, runs it quick, gets it to Permac, I think it is. And they've swung it all the way around to Tam Davis. To be fair to KAF, their zone has set quite well. Timocles gets it back. Timocles every second pass at the moment along with Davis. Goes to Permac. Timocles, Permac, Timocles. It's Permac now. They're not doing anything to get that off the line. Now to Davis. Now they swing it around. Alidus, Permac. Nice, found the gap to Tam Davis. Tam swings it into the inside cone, but it's quickly moved off into Permac, onto Timocles. Timocles middle of the field, moving the teams around. Almost a goal there. Tam Davis, she's about 1.5 meters out of the end zone. Now the double teams come. Timocles gets it. Right on the sideline, about 2 meters out. Timocles over the top to Permac. That disc was dying, but he held it, got his hand under it, and then he throws a sidearm of his own to Halidus. Halidus goes up. Clipped his defender on the way through, but again, no malice in it. He's taking a run at the disc. Bartek Halidus. So nice grab here. Yep, got his hands under it. Made life hard for Timocles did for him. And he thought, right, I'll pay it forward. Halidus takes a nice little pack mark.
Over Karamar. Tam also had a couple of good grabs in that point.
Tam sliced the offense as well. Yeah.
A couple of discs at her shins.
She did. Found the gaps.
She's an excellent receiver. Willing to put a body on the line.
And we see another timeout now. Interesting. 4-2. 2 timeouts used so far. All right. KAF gearing themselves up. Rob Swan using words I won't repeat on the feed. But a big team. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 females on KAF. J-Mac with the pull. He's got a hand. The lefty winds up. Boosh. Backhand, outside in. It's always landing in. The very worst thing you've got when you've got a lefty pulling it outside in downwind is you're going to take it from the front of the end zone. That's the very worst thing he does. Was never going out. Nothing fancy, but nice from J-Mac. Gives his defense a chance to set. And it'll be Reese Stewart bringing it from the front. Reese over the top. Left Sudis in a paddock, and he says, thank you very much, I'll take that. Ma goes back to Sudis. So Holly Reeve gets a really nice across throw to Rob Swan. To Reese, now to Sudis. So Reeve working in well with the handler set. This would be close to KAF's strongest line, you'd imagine. Reeve, Ma, Sudis, Swan, Reese Stewart. There's an Epstein, I think, out there. So Ma gets it round to Stewart. Stewart wants the sidearm again, elects not to do it. Ma getting it to Rob Swan. Swan, both Reese and Sudis popped in at the same time. Neither of them got it. Stewart then looks off Finn. Had a shot to Sudis, didn't want it. Now has another shot to Sudis, doesn't want it. Reese starting to point. And there, half a bid from Monstars, didn't want it. Reese Stewart. Caro back to Reese. Caro popping in, just destroying it. Now hits Holly. Reeve goes to Reese. Now around to Rob Swan, and there's a travel called on Reese. Reese with it. KAF have had it pretty easy so far on this point. Reese, lovely throw, lovely positioning to Ma, then Sudis with it on the end zone line, is a metre out, looks to Ma. Ma gets free. Ma can go back to Sudis, turned his back, so he would have had the goal had he not turned his back. Don't turn your back if you're a popper. He goes to Reese. Reese to Holly. Holly Reeves, easy as you like, to Sudis. That's pretty zone offense. Yeah. And I did a journalism degree. That's the worrying thing. Thoughts on that, KP?
They just worked it beautifully. A lot more movement from their poppers meant that they were able to get it through that zone.
The positioning, not only the pops in and out, but the actual positioning of the poppers behind the cup. So when the gaps opened up, so like Caro, Holly, Sudis had a couple there. Just made life easy for the throwers. They could shred it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was a little travel in there.
There's a goal.
5-2. KAF are out. Put a very strong line on to convert that point. They did so. Ball goes up, outside in, landing in. Tam touches it. It rolls into the back of the middle of the end zone. Centers it to Timocles. Timocles back over to Tam. They don't want to get stuck on this sideline. Tam, daisy cut up. Halidus makes it work. Got his hand underneath it. Back to Tam. And Tam unfortunately turns it over. Helen Epstein got her hand in the way there. Made life hard. And now M. Hodgson, they get a chance for a 6-2 scoreline. And Big D! Big D from Timocles. He didn't stop, his opponent did. Timocles now very nice and calm. Hits Chris Tan. But Tan has a problem. And Tam gets hand blocked. He's got a bigger problem now. White, nice hand block. And someone's gone. 21's gone for KAF. It's Max Magny. Now he comes under. But M. Hodgson wanted nothing to do with it, so Max has just spent his beans for no reason. M going. Now to White. White looks back to Hodgson. Hodgson gets it. They play a very deep stack. Continuing to play a deep stack. Scuba over the top. White gets it back. Now a high release flick. That's got a bit of spice to it. Epstein, Helen Epstein. Bad at the brick mark, but on the sideline. Moves it across. Finds Kat Gilbert, who's poached. Gilbert gets a count on it now. Gilbert gives and goes for the up the line, but can't get it. Inside now to Kat Gilbert, who kept going. Little collision, bit of friendly fire there between the Monstars players. But there's a D. So Monstars with a chance to keep their scoreline ticking over. Timocles following his great block from earlier in the point. Hallidus can't get free, so he punches it over. Permac looks, threads it through, now to Tan. Chris Tan back to Timocles. Hits Permac. Permac brings it up onto the high side. That's where they want to keep it. So Tam Davis into Permac, they keep it on the high side. The wind is slightly coming over the camera, so that's the more challenging side, as you can see, based on that hammer. Tan and Hallidus both run for it. Tan grabs it, Hallidus catches it. Then Hallidus works it up with help of Mel Spalding. And now there's a travel on Hallidus, called by White.
Quite a few people have to move back here.
They all want to be going back. That was called on me. I'll be sending everyone back. All right, Hallidus. Hallidus to Tan to Davis. Davis getting a lot of the disc so far this game, as you'd expect. Tan, now they're in the corner, they want to get it out quickly, they do. Timocles over now to Permac, that's where they want to keep it, on the high side. Gives it up to Timocles without giving up too much ground. So you see Timocles sinks it through. He's always looking back to that high side rather than looking at a gainer. Always looking at that, his left. Has to go to his right now, but Tan, same idea. So Timocles plays the smart game, gets it up to Permac. Permac elects not to go high side to Tam Davis. Instead throws the sidearm, but the disc is going to carry on that side. He tries to hit Tam, but the disc gets carried out. So Monstars, and I think Timocles will be saying keep it on that high side. The wind's blowing into the towards the camera now from far side into near side.
You'll notice Timocles is willing to take a backwards throw in order to get it to that far side.
That's the disciplined play. So KAF now. Lila Apple with the disc. Tan marking White through to M. Hodgson now. Rocking some fierce socks is M. Understand what's going on behind that call. White grabs it and then gives his team a cook before putting it to no one. So White not over the moon with something, but I wouldn't be over the moon with that throw. So. Hodgson was in the vicinity, but I think it just had way too much on it. Wind swirling around now. More of an upwind, downwind, in which the Monstars would be going upwind. It is swirly. Permac. Wants it around, gets it to Timocles, who wears a bump. Play on. Goes the flick over the top. He wanted Hallidus. The wind took that one. No stopping it. Matched defense. All players playing one-on-one. Very cheeky throw from White. That's his second turn of the point. Went with the high release flick, but the Monstars lads were wise to it. Unfortunately, Timocles puts it in the ground, but reckons he cops some contact on the way. Doesn't seem to be too much by way of a chat. That'll be uncontested. Yeah, just got something coming through. Fair enough. Timocles looking through the zone now. And to Timocles. Timocles to Permac. Permac has Davis out here if he wants it, doesn't take it. Instead throws a speculator to, well, it wasn't to Hodgson, but Hodgson was certainly the one that got it. Whoa, that is down. Hey, can we spill up a quick replay of this, Mike?
Game advisor's just conferring.
That's down. Mike? Oh, right outcome reach there, I think. That one did catch a bit of grass before it hit the deck. And now we've got another turnover. White cleans it up. It was Permac throwing the long disc after Timocles went for the quick play. So White, Lockie White, brings it in. Oh, sorry, it's not Lockie White. That's Max Magny. Hits M. And then M jacks one deep. He's looking for Cat Gilbert. He's looking for Cat Gilbert, but the wind taking it. But at the moment, based on the way the teams are treating the disc, you'd probably punt for possession at this point anyway.
Yeah, they're not holding. They're playing for position.
Neither team really protecting the disc. Happy to ride the Lightning.
It's going to make for some long points and
well,
some
I was going to say, this point's actually going pretty long. Wind kicking up even more blustery. Mostly upwind, downwind, but you'd say the far side is the more advantageous side to go to if you're on O. 10. Gets it through. Works to Spalding. Spalding eventually gets back to 10. Timocles goes with the around. Tam again had a difficult disc to contend with. It was over her head and it was turning over. So now White. White will go. Away force from Tan. There should be someone free because there was a Monstars player coming back into position quite late. Hodgson looks to get to White. White can't get the upper line. So they're holding the force. Hodgson then goes with the Scoob. Oh, Max Magny. Almost on the bid. But it died late. No wind to help pop it up. That's the downwind side, downwind direction.
Offense was quite untidy there.
Quick tap and they've played. So Monstars. Trying it out. Spalding back to Timocles, and Timocles starting to stink it up just quietly. That's 2 or 3 from him that he probably wouldn't want to throw again.
Does have a range of throws in his arsenal.
Yeah,
it's just a question of when you use them.
And that is the last timeout we're going to see this half. We're only at 5-2 and we've already had 3 timeouts, so we'll try and grab someone to have a chat and get an understanding of what the tactics are, or what the tactics are going to be for the rest of this half. Because both teams, I think, fair to say, KP would have things that they're not thrilled with in their own game, regardless of the scoreline.
Yeah, they're not playing particularly cleanly, either in the way they're cutting or even the choices they're making.
What would your message be to each team, KP? Let's start off with Monstars, who are down 2-5.
I think both teams need to clean up their offense. Clearer cuts, clearing outer space. Defense, both teams, KAF in particular, have quite a good zone defense. It's working well for them. I'd continue with that.
End of the timeout's been called by the advisors.
Time for offense to be set.
How is life as an advisor, KP? Give us an insight. What are you guys? I was talking to Ruben yesterday. He said he didn't have to do anything in a game and he loved it. That was the way. It was exactly the way he loved it. He wanted it. Is that the case?
It's definitely not as tiring on the legs. But you are switched on for the entire game. There's no subbing. As a game advisor, you're on every point.
What's the best part of it? Is it the yellow shirts?
Viewing good ultimate.
Oh, that's quite difficult. And I won't say the worst part. What's the most challenging part?
For me personally, remembering the rules in the hidden moment.
Yes.
And all the intricacies of how they can be interpreted.
I don't have that challenge. If you don't know the rules, there's nothing to remember. As long as you pretend. So we look at a goal from M. Hodgson very clearly off the set play to Max Magny. Gives it a little jump shot spike, but people want to have a chat. So we might be able to assist here. No, we won't need to. Typically, he's just
his feet here.
A bit cranky. He's in the
Catching.
air and landing in. Nicely done from Max Magny. (6-2) KAF over Monstars. Monstars lethargic. KAF are lethargic too, but it doesn't matter if they're up. To be fair to both teams, though, I'll start again in English. The conditions are probably as challenging as they've been all day.
Absolutely.
That wind now blowing around. It is a right to left. Probably blowing slightly diagonally across the field.
So left of screen, that end is the gender zone to choose gender, and the KAF are choosing 4 women.
So on the sideline, Timocles and Tam Davis having a chat. Lots of hand signals and gesturing. Talk about how they can work their offense out. J-Max sniffed a strategy discussion out. He'll be beelining over there for a chat. Here he comes into shot. Wait for it, wait for it. Oh, J-Mac! Then goes into the classic J-Mac stance. Oh, hands behind the back. I'm listening. I'm in my active listening pose. All right, Reese pulls it inside out. Nice floater. Geez, that's good. Good amount of hang time on that. KAF defense will get to set. And then Monstars go and stick it. Stick it down. I haven't seen it on the field yet. Nicely done by Reese. Good D.
It'll be interesting to see how KAF play through their 4 women here. No surprises, Karamar first cut.
Yeah, just destroying it on the reg. Caro answers it up. I think that's Katie Epstein. It is. Back to Caro. Caro big around backhand upwind to Sudis. Katie Epstein. Now to Reese. Reese to Caro. Just clone Caro. Oh, unfortunately, Ben Sudis just a cold drop. And now Reese is going to have to do something nice again, but unfortunately the throw from the quick shot couldn't get completed. Didn't give Dan Gladish a look. So Caro Ma just tearing at a new one at the moment. Pick called nice and early. Disc is going to stay there with Cam Bennett, I think it is. Cam taps it in. Karamar shut down. Probably the first time today. Katie Epstein. Now Karamar. She goes, nah, that's not going to stay for long. I'm getting the disc. Then sticks the disc. But there was a hand up from over the stack. Nice D by Jane Moe. Hammer now comes. Great grab. And that's a goal. I wasn't sure. I couldn't see who that was. It was at Salisbury, and then it was Sophie Taylor catching it. So Salisbury to Taylor. Salisbury catching a reasonably challenging hammer is coming in with a fair bit of heat. Monstars stay in touch, despite Karamar just redefining the game through her cutting. Going for 4 men from the gender selection end. So here's Jane's D getting up in the stack. Ben Sudis was free, so it would have been an easy grab for him had she not been there. And here's the hammer to Salisbury. Protected it. Coming in pretty quick.
Basically half the pitch.
Yeah. And Sophie Taylor catches the goal. So we're probably going to have a chat with, I'd say she's up there with the most famous person in Ultimate, Tam Davis. Smartest and most famous.
Hardly.
I think that's the mail I've got, Tam. 3-6, you guys have had a challenging start. I know the conditions aren't helping you guys, but you're probably not playing the way you want. What's the messaging in both the timeouts so far?
Play a bit better.
So you have a doctorate in astrophysics or some shit or some stuff, and you're giving me play a bit better. Yeah, okay, very good. Right,
yeah.
okay.
Work it between the players a bit better. Don't worry so much about the wind and just play our game.
Excellent. You would have enjoyed that last point there.
Yes, definitely.
Salisbury to Sophie.
Yeah, nice big catch from. She cradled that like the baby it was.
Yeah.
That big catch, that big hammer.
Excellent. Very good. All right. Well, thank you. That was very deep and insightful. I hope you. I hope your astrophysics studies are a bit more insightful than that.
Yeah, it's a bit heavier. See ya.
See ya. And Monstars like it. Whilst we were having a chat to Tam, they got a quick D and a quick goal, so should be pretty happy. Max Murray was the one with the goal. And J-Mac found himself right place, right time with the intercept. For those who don't know, Tam Davis, an astrologist, which I believe means she reads people's fortunes. Maybe she's an astronomer. It's definitely one of the I think it might be astronomer, where you don't have to study for 10 years to be an astrologist, do you? I think you'd have to study to be an astrologist. They look very learned. Do you ever watch the physics what is it, the tarot carding channel, tarot card reading channel? They seem very switched on. KP, can we test your mic there? Mike, can we get some volume for KP? That's all right. Welcome back, KP.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Do you have a degree in astrology or anything like that?
I don't have a degree in astrology.
No? It'd be a hard degree to get, I reckon.
I'm sure Google would help you out.
Oh, I mean, you'd have probably a semester on tarot cards, a semester on tea leaves.
There's definitely some stargazing in there.
Lots of stars, yeah. That's what you'd have to major in. Outside in pool, this one going to the far side, but it's going to land in. It's going to roll to the end zone line. Rob Swan hasn't seen a few points. He's back on. He goes to Reese. Reese to Helen Epstein. Helen Epstein, ooh, there was half a sniff there from the defender. But Holly Reeve was okay. Holly Reeve got it now to Sudis. Sudis looks off Reeve, who was reasonably open, then throws around to Swan. Swan getting marked by Permac. Home force. Permac throws to Jackie Chan. Leg up in the air. Rob Swan gets it back. And now Epstein, but there was a pick call. Ooh. Brave pick call. I think Epstein thinks the same thing. She probably wants to hold on to it and just have the player catch up. And the player's catching right up. Okay. Rob Swan, lovely throw up to Ben Sudis, who almost unloads a backhand bomb, but elects not to. Rob Swan sits there, cuts the whole stack off, and there's a push-off call from Permac. And the way Swan's reacted means he probably thinks he did. Swan finding an excuse to get his rig out before then electing to agree. Yeah, pretty clear push-off. Jeez, that's a free kick in AFL. That's two at the back. Permac could be lining up for a shot on goal if that was footy.
Getting nice and close now.
Sudis goes for the low backhand, looks to hit Holly but can't do it. Holly Reeve, she's a good player, but asked a lot of there. There was a quick jack, but it was cut off from one of the KAF players, and now we got up the other way. Unlucky for Bell Lamb. In the wind, had one jump out of her hand. Permack picks it up. Reef marking. Permack throws the big outside. It's going to go well over Timocles' head. Oh! And Swan grabbed it, but then it just bobbled up. Swan went to D it, and that disc just sat and hovered. Rob Swan now jacks the flick.
Sitting high.
Sitting high, but again, multiple turnovers, and they don't want to take a breather. Permack picks it up. Throws Tam Davis. Unreal bid. Back to Permack. Permack out wide to Timocles. He's going to have to bid, but it gets away from him. It's out of bounds. Permack disappointed. Reese comes in. Goes the big flick, but Timocles knew he wanted it. Stuck a hand out in the way of him. Timocles not letting him get anything. High count, so he has to go upstairs, does Reese. And pretty big collision. Sudas was backing into the pack. Actually took out his own player. I don't know who's called the foul or what the discussion's in regards to. Permack and Sudas were probably up, but Bell was in there too. She's probably a bit sore. That wasn't Bell, was it? Maybe. So players having a chat. Ruben's pretty sharp into it. Yeah, I think the discussion is between Permack and Sudas. Meanwhile, in the corner, J-Mac and Reese are having a good old chat about what throw Reese should have thrown. John's agreeing that it should have been the crossfield hammer into the stack for the pack grab. I'm not as sure, but you know what? I won't argue with John about throwing. So Timocles decided not enough people are involved. He's going to wander over. Send one more in there. Let's have a look at the replay again. So Permack up early with the sit. Two players moving into each other. So I think the question will be really from Sudas, whether he had a hand on it. I don't know if there's too much there by way of a foul. It did look reasonably incidental to me. Ruben now giving his view. It looks like it's not in favour of Sudas because Sudas has a problem with it. It's contested. It's going to go back. I don't think that's too unfair. I think there were a few different views. It's close. When you throw a pie to a pack grab, you know, be lucky if you get it back, really.
I wonder what Reese's choice will be this
Well,
time.
do it again is probably his choice. It's coming in on a reasonably high count. It's two hands, so it's at least 6. It's coming in on 6. Oh, gets it out on 9 to Rob, who threw it, then put it at Holly Reeves' feet. So Holly couldn't do anything, and now Permack's going to go. He's going to look to shoot quick. Timocles, and he unloads a big sidearm. Oh, bounced off his chest. And the grab was completed, but it was well out of bounds. It was Sam Gaunt catching a absolute laser from Timocles. That was coming in with heat, but he was in the right position. It just came off his chest. You'd probably expect that to be caught, to be fair to Timocles, and then he cleans up his mess, but he's on the wrong side of the end zone line. Timocles with a laser.
Reece Stewart pulling in his stack, bringing them closer.
Swan this time gets to connect with Reeve, who's been cutting really well all day. Now back to Swan. Out to Sudas. Sudas elects to look off a completely open Sally Yu. Instead goes to Reeve. Reeve, excellent throw outside. Swan had to bid, but it was a really good throw. Then Swan looks to punt it quickly, thinks about it, then goes, yep, actually I don't mind it. He's really backing in Sally. Oh, and Sally almost had it. Permack struggling with the read in the wind. Sally got in front of him. And now Permack picks up. He doesn't have a mark on. Advances it to Tam Davis, but eventually it wasn't Tam that picked it up. It was Gaunt. But now Reese jumps in the way, jumps in the lane, gets it. quick play by Rob Swan now to Reese. Holly Hickson has it. Holly's got it now, goes over to Helen Epstein, who has time, takes a confident grab. It's about 1.5 meters out the end zone. Sally Yu streams to the open side. Can't get it now. Holly Reeve doesn't, elects not to go to Rob Swan now. Sudis, who had pace, gets in there. She instead goes to Reese, but he can't get his hands under the disc. Bids, unlucky, can't hold it. And again, we have another longish point. Tam Davis this time picking up the disc, Yu marking her. Lovely break to Timocles, but no one's going deep, and Swan again is poaching, protecting anything downtown. Oh, nice grab from Gaunt, the aptly named Gaunt. He's been present at this point as well, and he's going to get it again. I think Rob's poaching off Gaunt. But now it goes deep, and Timocles does have a sit. It'll be whether he catches it in. He does. The point is ended. There was a moment of shock from everyone on the sideline that the point had actually ended, and then it gave way to celebration. Not the quickest points in the world, KP.
No, both sides willing to take a shot, but trying to get the disc moving by sending it long as opposed to having their cutters work hard with their legs. That's been the call from the sideline here. Use your legs. And definitely when KAF picked up that call, their cutters were moving more fluidly, had more options, an easier game to play. Unfortunately, they weren't rewarded with the score that point.
A couple of nice bids in there. Despite the points going along, we are seeing some good bids, some nice throws. Monstars making a game of it, 6-5. And just as we wait for this pull to go up, we're going to have a chat with Jodie Brown. Hello, Jodie. I'm Moz. How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm good. Glad to be here.
Were you on one of those points?
Yeah, just the last one.
It wasn't a short one.
Oh, you know, that's not our style. Short and quick. We like to grind.
Right.
And throw it away a few times, then grind some more.
Well, the game plan's working excellently then.
I know. This is what we planned for.
Right. Okay.
You know.
So this is a war of attrition kind of game style. Is that the plan?
Exactly. Yeah. See, up in Brisbane, we're not really used to having some wind. It's nice and still. Yeah. So we're having a bit of a struggle. Right. Spoilers to all the other teams out there.
And you've ground back. It was, I think, 6-2 or 5-2. You've grounded back to 6-5.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, you know.
Yep.
It's nice to always get a grind on.
Excellent. And any goals for you personally for the rest of the game so we can watch and kind of either pass you or fail you?
Oh, yeah, right. So set the goals low, you're saying?
No. Well, you said you said that on me. I mean, that is my personal philosophy on life. But do you have any goals for this game? Anything you want to do?
Oh, I'd like to just do my role the best I can. Just try and, you know, not get end zone irons, which I typically like to do.
Excellent. So. And just finally, before we let you go, as KAF score, Karamar causing a few problems for you. I mean, the girls across the board between Epstein, Reeve, and Ma, they're all solid for KAF, but Karamar in particular getting really busy even in this point. Is there a defensive strategy for any of those girls?
Oh, just containment, I think. Like, Kara just likes to move the disc quickly, and she's really good at that, so you just got to contain her as best as possible. And I think Holly, just don't let her go deep because she will score on you. And sky some guys, which we saw when the Stingrays came up to Brisbane and we had a grudge match against them in Monstars. So she can definitely sky a few people.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Best of luck for the rest of the game. Hope we see a close one.
Thank you. You too.
So, KP, is this your weekend away? Obviously, your husband, Lee Baker, had Div 2 Nats last weekend, was that right?
We both played Div 2 Nats last weekend.
Right, but you didn't both come here.
No, it's a bit more expensive to bring a family for.
Right, so he's at home with the children then?
He is. Bit of Halloween fun today.
People can't see the wry smile across KP's face right now, but Bakes, I'm just letting you know that it's there. So, just having enjoying your weekend away?
I am. It's very easy to get out of the house when it's just yourself.
Yes, but it is also, as you said, advising is a. There's no subbing when you're advising. I'd imagine Bakes would be saying there's no subbing when you're parenting either. But you know, it's not a full holiday. It's not like you're off to the Bahamas or anything like that.
No, that's true.
Pool goes up. Nice hang up. It's probably gonna make the brick mark. It does, just inbounds. Timocles to John. J-Mac. And someone's streaming. Tan's streaming, but J-Mac shows unusual composure and keeps it. Instead moves it across. He wants to slice this zone. He takes good pleasure in gutting it. Does the look away flick through the cut, through the backfield to Tam Davis. Tam Davis to Chris Tan. Oh, it's a horse race. J-Mac with a nice little bit of, we'll see if we can get the vision up again. Nice bit of subterfuge. Lured the defense. He had all his eyes over to the left side. You can see him point out to the left. He's saying, go over there, and I'm going to throw it the other direction. And Tam was sharp to it. You can tell those two have played together before because she was ready. She was the only other person on the field that knew that was coming.
Monsters, fairly quick point, that one.
Well, it's not the game plan. What's going on? I thought the game plan was to grind. I mean, the word grind kept coming up quite a bit, so I thought the game plan was to grind. Unusually easy. 6-7. Monstars keeping touch. Thanks, Cam. Oh, we were actually pumping you up that you were the only other player on the field that knew that was coming. He was doing the old look away. So J-Mac staying on after his heroics of the last point. Tam came to the sideline and said, yep, I knew exactly where that was going. So Monstars looking to try and equalise here if they can get the break. J-Mac pull, nice big pull. It's going to turn over, I think, and then it's going to land close enough to the line that White wanted nothing to do with it. He throws a bit of a speculator to Mar, but Mar's a unit, catches it. Hits Holly Reeve. Holly Reeve now at about the brick mark. Goes back to Sudis. Sudis fakes the high release flick. Goes with this little throw, but again, Tsao struggled because it was a windy disc. And now Monstars. The question will be whether that was in, and it is. Mariang grabbing a nice quick turn again. Monstars not going to the apparent game plan of grind and turn it 16 times. They got the quick break within the first 5 throws of the D and then punched it in with one of their own. Which brings us to evens, and this is to take half.
KAF choosing 4 women.
So it is back to on serve because Monstars started on D. And here we go, there's an interesting... Goal was given. He did have get his feet down. Mariang.
He did well to keep it in.
Yeah, marked in by Ernie Tao. So, 7-all. Some people have a name for this point, but I'm not going to use it because it is lame. Right. If Steph Rapazzo was here, special shout out to Steph. He would call it Galaxy Point. Oh. I feel dirty. Mike's told me my check's in the mail. I don't know if the amount's big enough to warrant dropping that term. Timocles outside in. Nice pull. Always in. Going to give Monstars a crack at setting their D. It looks like it will be single coverage. And Ma will be bringing the disc in. Interesting offensive set. It's either a bad Horo or a bad Vert. Now it is looking something more of a primary play. So they're playing 3 handlers back.
3 lady
Caro.
handlers.
Oh, Caro smashing it. Caro going to Reeve, but really nice save. And Tam's called it down. I don't blame her for calling it down. There was half a thought that it may have been, but let's have a look. We'll get a really good angle here. Lovely. Got a great shot of someone's leg blocking that. It was close enough.
It was too close to call that one.
Yeah.
Call retracted.
Yeah. I couldn't be sure, so the call's been retracted. It's going to stay with Kat Gilbert, who's now got a problem on the count. Kat hits Caro. Caro probably best on ground. Pick called and everyone yells. You'd have to say Caro up there with best on ground?
Absolutely.
So, KAF collapsed into a vert. Caro's got an inside look to M. Hodgson if she wants it. Otherwise, it'll be a dump back. Hodgson comes back into the dump position, grabs it. Hodgson wants the flick. Instead goes to Caro. Caro dictating the pace of this offense. Goes to Holly Reeve. Holly back to Caro. Caro's got space. Excellent overhead grab from Caro. 2 players collide backfield, but it's going to be play on. Caro hits Swan. Swan a couple of metres outside the front of the end zone. Timocles jumps right back. Doesn't want him to throw anything behind. He's daring his players to go up the line. Swan goes with the overhead. And there's a contested stall. Holly Reeve, great grab. But we're not sure whether it's going to count. So there's going to be a contested stall. So the discussion will be, I'm throwing it over your head. How do you have any idea when I released it? You can pretty much script the way all of these chats go, and they'd all go pretty much the same way. And nothing unfair to the players. Like they both, they all fully believe it. And they're happy to defer to someone. We've got the actual time at 7.2, so typically
contested stall.
Little keen on the count. Probably fair enough that Rob gets one more chance. He's going to go. Now he goes with the low grab, and now there'll be another call by Max. It's a low flick into the corner. Max
Foul
Magny.
called.
And looking at the replay, Max had a good chunk of it. Permac was kind of into his side, definitely into his side or into his back. So I think the call, I think the call may be a strip.
Running out of time to discuss it now. They need to make a decision.
They've both turned to Ruben. Said, what do you reckon, Rubes? So the interesting thing will be if this does go back, it will be with Rob Swan, who was on an 8 or 9 count. They're both explaining their views to Ruben. I think on the balance of things, that's probably a foul. You look at it there between the Bit of contact that he grabbed it, as well as the fact that it may have looked like the disc was in the hand. All right, contested foul. Goes back to the thrower. So now we can look forward to the prospect of another contested stall. Here we go. Wind now really kicking up.
Count coming in on 6.
Oh, it goes back to 6, does it?
Signalled by Ruben.
Ah, there you go, see? Advantage, no one rules. Ma, lovely dump swing, score. Oh,
Textbook.
that is nice. Swan hits Ma, and the Ma finishes it. Bell Lamb, I'm pretty sure it was, with the goal. It was that quick.
I think we spent more time talking about the fouls than we did with that series
So
of play.
Caro's grab, overhead grab. Timocles had half a sniff to go in there, but knew he didn't want to go up against Mark because he'd probably be coming off second best. Then here is the goal. Great break from our main man first, and then Mark keeping the flow going to Bell. And that is half time. So we will leave you with the highlights of the first half for a couple of minutes, then we'll see if we can grab someone from either the KAF or Monstars crew. But this is a close one. After KAF jumped out to a few points, Monstars have brought it back. We'll come back for a windy second half. Until then, enjoy the highlights of the first half. All right, welcome back for the second half of Monstars from Queensland versus KAF out of New South Wales. It's the beautiful mountains in the background of Hobart. For those just joining us, KAF jumped out, got to a 5-2, 6-2 lead for Monstars. Got it together a little bit. Started imposing themselves a little bit more on both sides of the disc to jump out. We'll jump back into it at on serve. So this is on serve. KAF pulling. They're up by 1. They're now throwing to Monstars. Other scores around the ground just before we start calling the action here. Paradigm 13-4 up in progress over Hills. And Hello Newman, I think it's 12-8, 13-8 versus Burley Griffins. So, back here. Got an uncontested foul called by Finn. Oh, sorry. Uncontested by Finn. Nice cut through. Sorry, throw through the cup. And now J-Mac unloads. J-Mac unloads a big backhand put. M. Hodgson gets good position to protect it and gets the D. Hodgson bringing it up. Hodgson this time has a look, and that's going out of bounds. Almost. Finn and J-Mac both had a poor read. J-Mac did enough to worry Finn out of it. One, 3, 2, 1, running a fence. Finn not even looking at the disc plate in the middle position, which is not a bad way to do it. Sophie Taylor with a good grab, and now it's been stuck deep. This one might be at the back. It is. That's the second matchup of today between those two. This time M good both times. Mike, can we grab some volume for KP? Thank you. So, M. Hodgson bringing it in. Someone's gone long. That is Sally Yu. She's got to go left. She's got to go left. She's got to go left. She's got to go to left. This one's going out of bounds. And actually,
got a hand to it.
Almost had it too, but she was already out at that point. So KAF clearly backing their zone in to get a turn. They've had two shots now at barely 50-50 shots. So Finn, if you watch here, so the 1-3-2-1 puppy fence, the deep you can't see on screen, but you're looking at Finn in the middle there. He's looking around. He's got his head on a swivel. He's getting in around the popper, not double teaming. J-Mac now moves it off over to the far side, back in towards the middle now. And J-Mac now they're going to try and move it through the handlers. Lefty backhand. Managed to be saved by Sophie. That nice work by Sophie, but there is a travel call. I think that was Sophie Taylor. Gets one on it, then gets the second. Through the call was on the lefty backhand pie. That was tossed up by, I think it was a Tristan, is that right? Tristan Green.
Travel retracted.
Right, Christian, we've just been told an American import from North Carolina. Yep. Ruben's just advised that it's in the rules that you can't travel if you're a lefty, so the disc stays. Great news for people like J-Mac and myself. Sophie keeps the disc. Now J-Mac wants the hammer. Instead goes to Green, the American. Through to Soph. Sophie back to Tristan Green. Tristan Green now throws the sidearm. And for the third time, M. Hodgson has made a save. Working overtime in that position, in that backfield position is a deep.
I'm not sure that he even got a touch on that one, but it was
He's
just
doing
enough
yeah.
to put off the catch.
And now getting it done on the offensive end. Gets it right on the end, and now punts once again. White is going to have to try and reel it in, but he doesn't have enough. To his credit, he didn't give up until it had hit the deck. But I think that's two, if not three, turns from M. But he doesn't seem too phased, which again, to me, suggests this is what they're planning to do.
Absolutely. I don't understand why their longer shots aren't a little more measured. If they had a decent cut going to that space, it would make more sense to me.
I always find it's easier to throw when there's someone cutting for it. That's just me. That's me. Sophie, it's Tristan Green. Tristan Green now lasers one through the cup. That was well in front of his intended receiver. That was Joe Salisbury.
Using that fine moment when you feel like you've got open space, you threw the cup, you want to keep it moving, but just a bit too fast.
He got a little ahead of his own. Oh, yep. No. Didn't sit enough up. So this time we have White going to it. I think this 7 has quietly had enough of M. Hodgson jacking it away. M hasn't though. I can see him sniffing it out. Him and Chris Brown have had a good contest in that deep. Looks to Finn. J-Mac was going to let him get it, but instead it comes out to Epstein. That's Helen Epstein. Now looks to White. Green gave him a little bit of attention, and now White throws it. Now this is going to have to come a long way back, and I don't think it will. It is OB, and it's going to come up probably 2/3 of the way through from where that was thrown. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, whether they set it here. I think they will. But Monstars with a real chance to get things back here. Look at those chops. All right, J-Mac. Brings it back in. Nice. Oh, geez, that's about as close as it gets. J-Mac. We're not entirely sure that was inbounds, but the players think it is, and that's all that's important. So J-Mac has it back. Great towing of the line. Is that Sophie again? Sophie Taylor, first of all, with the great toe of the line that we're going to take a good look at, don't you worry. And then again, J-Mac having really good connections with his teammates when he's not looking at them. You know, there are a couple of times there, everyone got lured into that sense of, okay, he's looking inboard, and then he just changes that. It's a little outside in backhand. So we'll take a look in a moment at both of those. So this is the first one. Oh, sorry, that was the goal. Fair enough.
That's clear.
Makes sense. Sophie Taylor, pretty happy. And this is the other one. That is exceptional. That is in, and that is exceptional. Sophie Taylor. I don't know if you're a drinker, but J-Mac owes you a beer after that one because you made his fairly throw look very good. Kept the disc alive. If that had a turn, John would have had a hard time telling the rest of the team why he shouldn't have just dumped it. No, guys, I'm going to throw this 3-metre outside in down the sideline and toe the line.
Does J-Mac explain?
Let's work it out. So there are a few.
I'm not sure about this one. I'm not sure that that's not out. When the disc is under control.
Is it there?
Oh.
Yeah, you can't. It is that close. You can't tell. KP, do us a favour. What's this mean?
That means match point.
It does. This is match point. We'll get confirmation on that. Well, half the team dabbed.
So it needs to be the defensive end game advisor would be signalling that. That would be Ruben.
All right, well, I don't think it is game point, so we'll crack on. We'll just work out whether Ruben was genuinely dabbing. As one gets past Caro Ma.
I wonder if she touched that one.
She did, because...
She tries for a greatest.
So this could be game point. This could be it here. Monstars could surprise everyone and get broken out of jail, get out of jail free card. He's got it. J-Max won it. That's the game. So just like that, KAF, despite having this game in control for
the whole game, ahead the whole game.
And Caro Ma is down on the ground, just absolutely filthy on life. So we're going to take a look at this again. We'll reel it up because Monstars have surprised the whole game. So we had a roller come in.
Slipped through
Caro
her fingers.
did get a little bit on it because you could see the disc wobble. So Reese goes, yep, cool. Got to get this going. Grabs it, taps it in, throws the flick to Caro, but it's out of bounds. Caro tries for the greatest, which was unreal, as per. And then J-Mac goes, yeah, actually, I've got a chance here. So he starts it, dishes it back, and then Caro goes to bid, but it's already past her. And J-Mac wins the game.
What a way to finish.
So I would hope that that game doesn't have too serious an implication in terms of KAF's chances throughout the rest of the tournament, because A, they played very, very well, and B, they fell asleep at the end there. I mean, that would be a pretty tragic way if that was their tournament.
So the team that finishes top of each of these crossover pools goes straight through to the quarters.
To the quarters. Oh, right, so there's a pre-quarter, is it?
And there's a pre-quarter this afternoon for the 2-3 crossover.
So you would imagine KAF would be playing that pre-quarter now.
So long as they win their next.
So 1 goes through to quarters, 2 has to play pre-quarter, and 3 goes out.
I'm not absolutely sure on that, but definitely the top of the pool, top of this crossover pool goes straight through.
Well, we'll let the draw barons do their thing and get their bracketology on. But what were your thoughts overall in the game? I mean, it's a bit surprising. I'm sitting here going, KAF had control of that whole game, Monstars grinding. Absolutely. And now I think there were 2 points after half, and both of them were taken by Monstars.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be more in control as soon as they stopped grinding and scored those easy points.
Yeah. So when they abandoned the game plan. So just taking a look at a few highlights here. Caro Ma, last point notwithstanding, which she will not be happy about, took some excellent grabs. That was one of them. It was a really nice hammer into the end zone. Caught well by, I think that's Sophie Salisbury. Sorry, Joe Salisbury.
She had a couple of good grabs of hammers this game.
And a nice hand block here by Reese. When's the next game? So we'll leave you with the highlights of this second half. The score here, 8-9. Monstars surprising KAF.
I think it's 2:30 next game, isn't it?
We'll be back shortly for the next game. 2:30 will be our next game, Eastern Standard Time. Until then, enjoy the highlights. We'll see you for the final game of day 2.
There's 4 games today.
Oh, there's 4 games. I should have upped my fee. I want 3 cans of Coke today. All right, so we'll see you for the second last game of the day at 2:30. Until then, congratulations to Monstars taking it out in double game points over KAF. We'll see you later this afternoon.
KFT.TV.